What's up and welcome to Champions of Lore, a show about all the kick-ass stories behind some of Idle Champion's coolest campaigns and characters. Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on twitch.tv/CNE Games, or later on your favorite podcast service, B. Dave Walters and Erin M. talk about all the Idle Champions lore that's fun to know about. If you're here with us live in the chat, you leave a question that your community manager, Treavor Bettis, will ask them later in the show, but until then, Erin, B. Dave, take it away.
Hi, I'm Erin M. I am the author of the Brimstone Angels Saga, a 6-book series featuring 3 of your favorite Idle Champions, Frida, Havilar, and Mehen. And as of this week, I am also content designer for Idle Champions.
Yeah! Which means all of the lore that we've been making is going to be true.
We already said it was canon because we said it on the internet. Now we can put it in a video game.
Grand Tour 2 is trying to get Orcus to the Raven Queen. Collect CDs so we can make the best mix.
Dagult Never Embers, a secret treant.
I just can't believe our long con worked. We finally got it. All right, we'll get them to give us a show.
Especially having smuggled both of you inside. Like, you know, this was the longest of long cons. And this is a little thing, like Never Ember, just to have like a leaf right here. You know, people like, why is there a leaf on Dagult Never Ember? You're like,
for you, audience, for you.
Yes, exactly.
I'm just gonna say, keep an eye on the backgrounds of Idle Champions in the near future. Yeah.
And who are you, good sir?
You know, just happy to have helped smuggle you, both of you, across the. I'm the Han Solo to your Luke and Leia, apparently. Yeah. You know, does that make Dylan Boba Fett? I think it does.
That might make him happy.
Yeah, there you go. It's just gifts that keep giving. As I know how much he loves the Mandalorian, I'm going to go ahead and say it makes him happy. If he does, so he's a very busy man. He might not have heard that. Make sure you all tell Dylan he's officially Boba Fett now. B. Dave Walters, I say words about things. I do that. What you just saw. Do it all over the place. Yeah.
I literally had tears there.
There you go. Yep. Yeah, we're off to a strong start.
We're off to
especially considering the content.
Yes.
I will only tell you this, audience. When I was told what the content for today was, my answer literally was, really?
that is also why a few months ago when I told you what the content for today was going to be, I said parentheses, yes, really.
And here we are.
Yes.
Yeah,
so,
it has arrived.
So we're going to be talking about Cthulhu today, and and some viewers and listeners may be also going, really? But this is because the new champion that is coming to Idle Champions today at noon with Agaron's Day is Prudence, who is played by Jane Douglas on Oxenventure. I always say Oxenventure because I like the game Oxenfree. It's a whole thing.
Let's say Hassenpfeffer?
Hassenpfeffer, yeah. It's the Outside Xbox team, and her warlock tiefling is a warlock of Cthulhu. So we thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about a little bit of the Cthulhu mythos and stuff like that. But I do want to put up here at the beginning. We understand that it was originally created by a very problematic, racist, bigoted person who we're not focusing on about this. This is about the mythos and what other people have added to that story, and not the terrible person that made them.
Yeah, you know, it's always a challenge to separate the author from their work. Sometimes it's not possible, especially when it's in the modern day, for instance, and people have complete and total context. I myself try to judge works through the lens of the time in which it was created. Again, you all know, we talked about Chult before. My career exists because of my criticisms of the portrayal of Chult. In Tomb of Annihilation. In the 80s, it was horrifically racist. And I'm like, you just didn't know any better. And then, so that's okay. Or when I read problematic stuff from the past and they didn't know any better. And the crown jewel of that is things like Lovecraft, stuff like Robert E. Howard, things of that nature. So all of that is to say, I do genuinely believe in my heart that here in the modern day, you can still enjoy things that have a problematic origin repackaged and facelifted for the modern era. But if you choose not to, that's okay too.
Yes.
And there are a lot of authors, just as a sidebar, a lot of authors doing really brilliant things reinterpreting the Lovecraft mythos. Trevor and I were talking about, because, okay, full disclosure, I am not a fan. I did not read any Lovecraft until very late in my life. So you can do a lot of convincing me of why it's super duper cool. However, what I have read and enjoyed are those reinterpretations.
And I do want to talk about those. I actually want to do a little part where we talk about things that are not Lovecraft that are in this that you can consume and enjoy now, because there's a long list of them. And some of them you may not actually realize were mythos.
Yeah, Cthulhu photography.
The code for today is Ia Cthulhu.
You know, I believe that. Well, let's get all of our disclaimers out of the way before we dive into this, because there was a second point you wanted to make as well, correct?
The other disclaimer that I want to put on here is because it is so closely tied in with the way that, you know, these stories and lore goes. We probably will at some point use the words madness or insane or sanity of some sort in there, and I understand that those are words that people do not like hearing right now. So just as a heads up, we might say them because it is closely tied into this lore. Just wanted to give you a heads up on that.
Yeah, so, it was kind of pivotal to the mythos that one of the worst things that could happen to you was being, you know, lost in your own head, essentially, and then getting eaten. Yeah,
and then
which I had a long-term debate with Damien Poitier about this. That we went back and forth. That it's like, you've pleased Cthulhu, he will eat you last, and it's like, no, you've pleased Cthulhu, he'll eat you first.
I also very much agree with that statement.
I've moved to the he'll eat you first school of thought. That, man, you are not gonna want to see what's about to happen. Like, let me just there you go. Let me just help you out there. Yep.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. So yeah, Cthulhu lore is, I think, is a little hard to pin down, namely because it's like, when you really pull it back, it's like, what is Cthulhu? He is an unknowable cosmic being of terror.
With an octopus head.
With tentacles and wings, and on occasion wakes up and destroys everything. But he's sleeping. He's sleeping. So as long as he's sleeping, we're good.
Yeah. So the way that the mythos kind of presents it is that Cthulhu, I keep saying he, and I'm probably gonna do that just because I do that as a joking thing. I'm just like, look at that little boy, look at that little squid boy.
Yeah. So I think Cthulhu is a he, because I think so. Yeah.
So yeah, he is this elder god. That's something that comes up a lot in the mythos, is the old ones, the elder gods and stuff like that, and he is one of them. And yeah, he's just kind of always existed. But luckily, like B. Dave said, he is sleeping, which is he specifically is asleep in a city called, and it goes back and forth on how you pronounce it. I pronounce it Relay. And it is
I pronounced it right, yeah.
Oh, see, there you go.
I feel like it's worth pointing out that no one, like, at no point did Lovecraft prioritize pronounceability of anything.
Yes.
I feel like it was just confidence, because that EA Cthulhu talking, that thing we were saying is, which is a chant you'll hear people say all over the internet, translates to roughly, in his house at Ryla, dead Cthulhu waits dreaming, because that's where he is, and he'll be back eventually, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did notice, because I was doing some brush up research this morning on it. I didn't actually realize that, I guess at one point Lovecraft had pronounced the word for people, and it sounded just blah, 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 blah. Like, it just sounded like sounds like, I'm like, there's a T in there, and you don't have that anywhere in the word.
I mean, it was supposed to be nonsense. It was supposed to be madness inducing.
Yes. Like I think the way that he said it was Kulahulu. And
Yeah.
I'm like, bless you.
This is, you know what? When you're writing fantasy stuff, like nobody's supposed to be saying it out loud. You're making it harder this way.
Right?
Yeah. Well,
Now there are audiobooks, so
how many times have we said, like, this is a word I've always read and never been able to say? Like, you know, Bob Salvatore having Menzo Baranzan, and it's
Still
not
messing
Menzo
me up.
Baranzan. Okay,
Still
great.
messing me up.
And I think I do grade on a very slight curve again, because Lovecraft gets as much benefit of the doubt as I'm going to give anybody. A lot of those words really were supposed to be unspeakable.
Yeah.
Like really were.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
Yeah.
that's always been kind of the funny
Yeah.
thing for me about like the way the mythos was originally presented. It's like, it is unknowable, it is undescribable, but allow me to describe it to you with these words you're reading on a page.
You might know about it. Yeah. As an aside, you all know, you may not know, this might not have come up, that Metallica is my very favorite band in the world.
did not know that.
I did.
It is, yes. In Call of Cthulhu is not actually about Cthulhu because it's an instrumental, but the thing that should not be is about Cthulhu. So, there you go.
Yeah. But yeah,
A lot of,
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say a lot of the mythos very heavily anchors around the northeast part of the United States,
Yes.
mostly the Arkham area. Again, madness, and we mean this in the traditional literary sense, as Trevor pointed out. It's a big part of the stories. Things coming up out of the ocean.
Yes.
Strange cults to, Father Dagon and Mother Hydra. Like weird communities of people on the northeast coast worshiping ancient aquatic gods, and then either becoming them, giving birth to them, worshiping them, usually eating people that are visitors, and or feeding them to Father Dagon and Mother Hydra. Yep.
Yeah, as you do. Have a nice Sunday.
As one does,
Yeah.
which is also why I live in California. Yeah, I'm a big part. I'm just steering clear of the Arkham area. I will say, if you want a modern facelifted version, still chock full of problematic elements, but presented contextually applicably, check out Lovecraft Country. Came out last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
The book too.
Yeah, the book. Yeah. My wife read the book. We watched the series together. I enjoyed it. And yeah,
Read your recommendations.
oh yeah, we're getting there. So yeah, Cthulhu, as far as that goes, like he's sleeping in Relay, which is apparently a city of wrong geometry, which is kind of a fun description because it goes, what does that mean? It just
That is one of those things. It's better not to try to explain it.
Because
Like, your brain.
it would induce madness. Yeah.
I feel like
Also,
Relay-
if you said like the triangles have 8 sides, people will be like, "What? That's
And you're like-
lame. That's just not interesting."
Right.
So
Relay sounds too pleasant. Yeah, it's like he's wintering in Relay. You know what I mean? Like he's like
Okay.
laying by the pool with the tinky drink.
I'm not
Like,
gonna lie.
"Rah-rah."
Every time I've had to picture in my head Relay, I kind of picture like one of those old foam pits they'd have at like the gymnastic gyms or something that's just made out of foam shapes, and I just put those into stone. I'm like, that's what it looks like.
You're gonna make me choke to death on this thing.
But you were talking about the cults and everything, and that is like a very big part of the mythos overall, is that there are these cults of people who, get together and they're just like, hey, I kind of hate the world. And they're like, hey, I kind of hate the world too. Let's destroy everything. Woo! And good.
Yeah, okay. Now let me say first and foremost, I am not a Lovecraft scholar for all of the reasons that were given at the beginning. That if you scratch down kind of past the first couple layers, it's like, this is gross.
Yeah.
So I am a casual Lovecraft aficionado, as you were. I have plucked from the bushes of Lovecraft. And yeah, it is. I think it was such a recurring theme about the way darkness just creeps in, that it's like people, seemingly good people, turn not good.
Yeah.
So that is, the recurring theme here. Again, the town is infiltrated by cultists, infiltrated by monsters who are cultists. And a lot of times they worship Cthulhu, but usually it is Dagon and the Hydra, and it is a very elaborate mythos. Like there's a lot of gods, and they're
Check
all
out
bad.
Azathoth.
Yeah.
It's just gonna end everything just on a whim.
It's almost like a race to who's going to destroy everything first, and can we just keep them all appeased that none of them do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like you're trying to get this Dread Pirate Roberts relationship with the gods of like sleep tight. I'll most likely kill you tomorrow. You know, like you're like, yeah. However, I will say Cthulhu in particular, and even some of the other gods, were once actually a part of D&D and in Deities and Demigods.
Yes.
Supplement.
Actually,
we're talking about that.
that is a good point to talk about that they were, and now they're not quite.
Got weird with the rights.
Licensing issue.
Yeah. Got weird with the rights.
Yeah.
So they're not out there.
Yeah. Like
it is a complex thing when exactly something becomes public domain and what becomes, because if the state has sort of reasserted the trademark, you can get messy. And in that particular case, license was given to a different company. TSR at the time was like, oh, well, just do that. I think it was still TSR. It was like, oh, we'll just put it in. It should be public domain. And the other company's like, excuse me? We paid for a license. So
TSR really did have permission. This is where it got weird. They really did. And then another company also did. And then another company really ran with it. And it was like, well, at first it was like, we don't have the resources to fight this out in court. And then it kind of became, I don't think we want to fight this out in court. It was very complicated and many-headed, as the Cthulhu mythos probably should be. Really. But I guess all of that is to say, having a Warlock of Cthulhu now, in a way, is a homecoming of sorts. Although, you know what's weird? I think if I was going to make a character that was a Warlock of Cthulhu, I would make them a Warlock of Cthulhu and also an Aberrant Mind Sorcerer. Double down, plug in.
To be fair, I don't think. Oh yeah, well, I don't think that one was available when Prudence was made, but yeah, that's actually pretty cool too.
Like, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, if we're gonna unhook it to the unspeakable, let's do it.
Yeah. Well, and
I love it.
But the thing is, though, is that like, because Cthulhu and the other mythos creatures were canon for D&D for a bit, a lot of stuff got built around them as well, which is still there today, specifically the Far Realm, and everything that comes from there.
Which is nothing good, for the record.
Like, I don't think aboleths are specifically from the mythos, but they sure would be kissing cousins.
Oh,
they're very, and the eldest is basically Cthulhu with the serial numbers filed off.
It's true.
I just love the idea of Cthulhu with the serial number wrote off.
I mean, well, the Koatoa, the aboleths, all of the semi-aquatic, gross people-y things that live in the darkness. Remember what was the Koatoa goddess with like the messed up head but the fantastic body?
Libdul poop.
Yeah.
Oh god.
That stuff. All that
is definitely Cthulhu's weird cousin.
Is of a time.
Yeah. They were very upfront from the beginning that mind flayers were a Lovecraftian inspired monster, like, and I mean they are just tiny little Cthulhus running around and trying to eat your brains.
Cthulhu is like a really jacked mind flayer with wings.
It's just like a bowed up mind flayer. Yeah, that's all it was. Yeah. Well, I mean,
they thought I was sleeping. I was lifting. Gotta get them gains.
Just Cthulhu's just been repping out.
Oh my god, I need a picture of Cthulhu just
a jack Cthulhu. Well, wait a minute. We already know the girl Orcus is after. Who's the girl Cthulhu's after then?
Oh god.
Maybe Guy. I don't know. I'm not here to judge his life or his choices.
What's the weirdest answer for this?
I mean,
I feel like it's like Zugtmoy, right? It's like the goddess.
Oh
of the
yeah.
Right.
Or like it's not. It's a mountain somewhere. It's not even a person.
Right. Yeah. It's just like Cthulhu's just really into a trench or something, you know?
Yeah. I believe that there was in 4th edition a giant chasm that opened, and I believe it was filled in because an earth elemental or primordial
Yeah.
died and his body filled it in. But
It's
what was there before? He wants
like-
the whole. He wants the earth chasm, but now it's filled in, and that makes sense.
He's got to get it out of
'Cause-
there. That's why he's got to get
Right.
bowed. Yeah. I see, because my mind went to like, you know, he wants a throuple with Scylla and Charybdis, but then my mind went to Scylla and Charybdis. They're actually like jilted lovers. Maybe they've just really wanted to be together this whole time, just can't. Every once in a while.
Cthulhu is like they're trying to save the relationship.
That's it. Cthulhu is gonna literally build a bridge between Scylla and Charybdis. Yeah. So honestly, what we just said is no more nonsensical than quite a lot of the stories around these creatures. Yeah. But if you think about it, I mean, again, issuing the disclaimer of what we said about the portrayals of madness.
Mhm.
The mind flayers as a concept do kind of still scratch that itch. They take your free will away. They stun you. They mind control. They enslave, you know, eat your brain, literally turn you into one, you know, like all of those are very Lovecraftian in nature. 100%.
100%. They got spaceships.
Multi-level body hoarder.
Spaceships you steer with tentacles, like
spaceships that have tentacles.
Yeah. But the use of Cthulhu like at the table and stuff, like my wife has made a warlock of Cthulhu and stuff like that, and I just kind of kept hands off of like the Cthulhu part of him because I'm just like, well, I mean, if he woke up and gave you any instructions, he's just gonna destroy the world. So
Oh, he should give her spells in her dreams.
That's freaking cool.
Yeah, he's not gonna talk to you.
Right?
Yeah,
You just have a weird dream. You wake up and you know a new spell, and you're like, "Thank you."
Well,
That's
currently
cool.
in Ravenloft, Bloodspur, the domain of Bloodspur, is the mind flayer domain. There is a dying and diseased elder brain that creates that place. And one of the core elements of Bloodspur is you don't go there. You remember that you've already been there. Like your adventures don't have. Yeah, they're all in retrospect. Like very much having her just like wake up with like have a new spell, a vision, and like a chip in her arm or something. It's like,
while I was editing the episode where Black Die Society went to Bloodspur, the entire time all I could think is, how am I going to write a description for this episode? How the heck am I going to write a description for this?
It's a lot.
That sounds like fun.
That's you know, I really we're talking about all of it. We're talking about Idle Champions, but also how to apply this stuff at your table. You know, things like that are ways that you can tap into the horror and the valid horror elements of this with things like lost time, you know, not necessarily trusting your memory or your senses or your recollections and trying to piece together mysteries and things more than just you've lost your mind.
Yeah.
You know,
I definitely agree that's really good. Yeah, because one of my favorite things my wife said though, because when she first made that character is at the very, very beginning of 5th edition. You know, warlocks get eldritch blast. Eldritch is a word that is very synonymous with the mythos.
eldritch horror.
Yeah, and so we next time we played and there was another warlock who wasn't a warlock of Cthulhu, they used eldritch blast, and my wife goes, "No, they shouldn't get that. They're not eldritchy. That's my thing."
They just blast.
They just blast. It's warlock blast. Yeah.
Which it's interesting that, I mean, again, theoretically at your table you could do whatever you want, but the idea that you can be a warlock of Cthulhu but not a cleric of Cthulhu kind of makes a lot of thematic sense, like in the sense like Erin always talks about warlocks being like a circuit type thing.
Yeah,
like you just jack into Cthulhu's Wi-Fi, you know.
It was so easy. His password just 1 2 3 4 5.
Yeah, his password was got it on the first try.
Password was secret love of Raven Queen.
That's true. Yeah, would like Cthulhu be like really into Umberly? Because I could see Umberly not giving him the time of day.
That it would be good.
That's why that's why he's always hanging out in the ocean.
It's true.
You know, He's just like, I'm gonna destroy everything eventually, but I just like being close to you. And Umberle's like,
Hey, did you notice I destroyed that port town? Yeah, I don't really care, but I did it for you.
true. You don't like port towns. I don't like port towns.
We're made for each other.
Got a lot in common.
Oh, yeah.
I had a different thought, but I love this so much. I am fully Cthulhu Umberlee shipper now.
Yes.
I just double date with Dagon and Father Dagon, Mother Hydra, Cthulhu, and Umberlee, and she just does not fit in with the three of them.
She's like on her phone the whole time. Just like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like fidgeting with his tentacles, nervous. You know, Mother Hydra's like, "You're doing great, honey."
Yeah. So I do definitely want to talk about some places that you can get into the mythos stuff and read about it or watch it and whatnot. But while I do that, remember, put questions into the chat. If you have any questions about Cthulhu mythos stuff and whatnot, put them in there now, so we can try and get to them at the end of the show.
To the best that we can, you guys.
Yes,
to the best that we can.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I kind of did like a run through beforehand of like stuff, but Erin, you had some great freaking suggestions that I hadn't even
Trevor
heard
didn't
of.
know.
Yeah, and I immediately added them to an Amazon cart and bought them.
So the ones that I suggested to Trevor are The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Laval, which is a novella. I think it was. Can't remember if it won a Hugo or if it was nominated. It's very, very good.
I saw something about a Hugo in there.
And another one that was in the same, so Tor.com puts out novellas, so this is shorter than a novel. Another really great one that, okay, so I was led to read Lovecraft for the first time, and I was looking for stories about that featured Nyarlathotep. And so I foolishly picked up my first story as The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadam.
Oh no.
Which is a terrible place to start, readers, or not readers, viewers. If you are curious, don't pick that up.
Don't pick it up.
It's very confusing.
Viewers who are going to become readers, yeah. Mm-hmm.
However, having read it meant when I read The Dream Quest of Velvet Bow by Kiz Johnson, which is about a woman who works in the university within the sort of weird dream world, it had a lot of resonance because I knew all this stuff. So if you've read that and gone, yes, that's bonkers, cats jump people off the moon, what does that even mean? You will appreciate The Dream Quest of Velvet Bow more. Some other great ones, there's a short story called Shoggoths in Bloom by Elizabeth Bear, about like a marine biologist who goes to study the Shoggoths in Maine. And
just maybe don't, for the record, like, maybe don't.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah.
You kind of in the outbreak of World War II. There's what am I forgetting? Oh, the one I was telling you about is a short story called The Litany of Earth by Ruthanna Emrys, which is about I think are they called the Yith, the people who are sort of fish people? Yeah. So she gets sent away from Arkham and has to kind of cope with that. And then she wrote a book that comes after that, which I haven't read and I didn't realize was a thing, and now I am definitely interested in it, called Wintertide.
Oh yeah. That one I believe takes place in Innsmouth, which by the way, it looks like it is Innsmouth, and it's I guess it's pronounced Innsmouth. I don't know.
Innsmouth, and I only know that because there is a radio drama called A Shadow Over Innsmouth.
Yep.
From the early 90s, and you can find it. You got to dig for it a little bit, but it's there. It's a radio production of it, and it is choice. The Shadow Over Innsmouth. Yep.
But like all of these were really I enjoy because they really kind of dig into the issues in Lovecraft with racism and sexism and xenophobia and pull out problems for the characters that are related to this and tell a really like tight psychological story while having all this weirdness at the same time. So if you're like, this stuff is kind of icky, and it also, the style is very dated and it's not for me, try these modern ones that have the same otherworldly horror, but more relatable characters and more interesting plots.
Let me give you a reason, listeners and viewers, for why not just the terribly problematic things of the writing, but like reasons why people have done this mythos better. Because somebody put in the chat, Hazen said, can Cthulhu shapeshift? And my first thought was literally from the Call of Cthulhu story, where Cthulhu rises up out of the water and a boat runs straight into him and pops him like a balloon. Because it was just an aspect of Cthulhu. But a boat literally runs through Cthulhu and it just pops like a balloon. And I'm like, and that's it. It was over. And nothing else happened. And so many people have done better. So many people.
Well, and a lot of, even when Lovecraft was writing that stuff in the early 20th century, he tried to make it intentionally old sounding even then. Like he was trying to sound all Victorian. So there was a time that was in the past that was trying to make it sound like even more in the past on purpose.
Yeah, it's true. One of the recommendations that I have for books that is a bunch of short stories is the Book of Cthulhu. Neil Gaiman's got one in there. There's some really good authors. I've read a few of the short stories. They're fantastic.
Sorry, I just remembered another one.
Oh yeah,
that a friend of mine wrote, but Litany of Dreams by Ari Marmel, which is a story that's tied to Arkham Horror. But I don't remember which. But there's a student from Miskatonic University disappears, and his roommate has to find it. Did I say that right? I don't know.
Miskatonic, yeah.
Yeah. But I know some things about this because Ari's a friend of mine, and he talks through some of the plot with me, and it sounds delightful, and so that's another.
I just found that one as well, and also putting in there. When you say Arkham Horror, you mean the board game? Yeah. So yeah, that actually segues me perfectly into that. There are a bunch of board games from Fantasy Flight, which do actually a pretty good job of having the mythos present in a board game and learning stuff about this wild stuff while also playing with your friends, and possibly losing your minds and killing each other. What there is, I can't remember which one of the board games though. It's just like you can end up with these problems. It's just like you've lost your mind, you broke your arm, you owe a debt. Like it was just like you gambled a little too much. It's like, I didn't gamble. What are you talking? This is mythos. Like, I'm not gambling. I don't know. It just stood out to me as a funny one. It's just like, yeah, you owe some people some money. Also, monsters are after you, but you also owe these people some money.
Do you owe the monsters money? Maybe that's what this has been about the entire time. They've just been coming out of the ocean because in like the 1800s there was like 100-year lease on the land or something. And they're like, no. like they're completely within their rights, and you're just like, no, but they look like fish people.
The copyright has been extended.
No, this is public domain, and the public is us.
Yeah, so they have Arkham Horror, which is what these books they do put out their own books for their own fiction from Fantasy Flight that are connected to the board games, because they have like characters that are from the board games show up in them and whatnot. There's Eldritch Horror, which is like a bigger version of it. Elder Sign, the Call of Cthulhu collectible, living card game, and there's Mansions of Madness. Now I'm gonna say this. I prefer the first edition of Mansions of Madness. It does come with like giant figures of these monsters, and it's really cool. The problem I have with the second edition is that it is a board game that runs off an app, and that is a whole different. I could fill a whole episode with a rant about that, which I'm not going to do here. But check it out. They're cool. There's so many video games. I didn't even bother writing them down. You could literally just Google Cthulhu video games. There's a lot of them. But again, remember, a lot of the problematic stuff still shows up in there, especially connected to the madness stuff and whatnot. There was a game that released recently, which did not do really great things with a insane asylum. It's not great. But movies. There's so many movies, and they're not even ones that you think that they would be. Like one that's like doesn't have it in the name that 100% is The Thing. The Thing is 100% like Mountains of Madness Part 2. Oh my God, John Carpenter did that one and has straight up said in interviews that the thing is essentially a show goth.
Huh.
Yeah.
And the prequel to that movie was really cool, and then the ending made me ask way too many questions in way too quick of time, and I annoyed everyone I was watching it with.
So apparently, at the beginning of the thing, I forget which language they're speaking. It's like Swedish
yeah.
or something, I think. And apparently, if you can speak Swedish, what they're saying is, don't go near the dog. The dog's a monster, or whatever the thing is. They'll be like, they literally tell you everything immediately if you speak the language. And of course, everybody else is like, I don't know what he's saying. So yeah,
you
this is
learn
good.
Swedish for your own safety.
The movie premieres in Sweden. They're like, I don't get it. Like they should. Nobody saw it coming. I don't get. Why didn't they understand?
I feel like they were warned. Yeah.
It's a bit of a tangent, but I am curious. Like, what does the Swedish dub do? Do they
probably change their language to something else, or just
yeah, exactly. Like what though? What's the language that they're like? It sounds like
it's still Swedish, and he's like, "Nah, don't worry, everything's cool. We're leaving."
That's another solution.
Yeah, you guys have a good time. We're out.
Yep. Another one. Oh, I mean, Cabin in the Woods has got. They talk about old gods and stuff in there.
I hate Cabin in the Woods so much.
Okay. B-Dave?
But yes,
so do I. I only put it on there because I felt I had to, but I 100% freaking agree with you.
But it is apt to be in the ecosystem of this. Yes.
This one, I'm not going to tell you how or why. I'm just going to tell you to watch it. The movie came out a few years ago with Kristen Stewart, Underwater. Watch that movie if you like mythos. Trust me. Please. It's very good.
Not used to hearing Kristen Stewart very good.
Well, I liked it. I thought it was good. But like for me, like if anyone asked me like, okay, I want to watch a mythos movie, there's one in particular that I will always point them to, and that is Mouth of Madness. It is another John Carpenter movie from the early 90s. It stars Sam Neill, and it is the most Lovecraft movie without saying the word Lovecraft that is possible.
Interesting.
There was a Spanish movie in 2001, Dagon.
Dagon is amazing.
Got a lot of hype. Father Dagon.
That's actually the first time I ever saw any mythos stuff, and I was 12, and it was on Sci-Fi Channel, and it was 11 o'clock at night, and I didn't sleep that night.
Did you sleep the next night?
A little bit. Got to bed about 1, 2 in the morning.
That's how you become a Warlock of Cthulhu.
Yeah, I buy it.
Watch a movie on the Sci-Fi Channel, try and go to bed, and it's just like tentacles on your face. Hey, little buddy.
Yeah.
So, Trevor, I have a question for you. Oh, wait, you have more things to...
Oh, no. I was just going to gush more about Mouth of Madness, because I love that movie. Like,
well, so this is related. So like, you're a big fan of this. What is it about it that grabs you so much? What do you love about this?
I really like the cosmic horror thing, the unknowable, because like I think that kind of goes into like a fear that I have. Like I have a fear of open water because I don't know what's below me or near me or anything like that. And so I think I get a little bit of a thrill out of this threat of the unknowable.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a big aspect of mythos that I don't enjoy, which is just straight gore, and I'm like, no, not for me. I don't care. I don't. You show me people like just going nuts and like running around screaming Cthulhu Fatag, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's cool. I like cults. Let's do that. But yeah, it's the unknown, the strange, the like things that just completely wouldn't make sense, where it's just like, hey, welcome to this small town in New England. It's really chill here. By the way, in 3 days, a flaming pterodactyl that brings down the ending world comet is going to happen. Stay tuned for that. So I like that kind of stuff. It's kind of got this like noir monster mystery thing that I really like. Also, yeah, there we go. Somebody put it in there. Thalassophobia is another one that I have. That is also fun ass word to say. Thalassophobia is the fear of large objects in the water. And I found out I had that at the Queen Mary, because you can go down the engine room, you walk out onto this platform, and you can look down into the water and see the propeller in the water all lit up. And I looked over and went, no. And our tour guide went, hey, fun fact, you have thalassophobia.
Goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, all things being equal, I think the water's supposed to freak you out, and seeing big things in it is also supposed to freak you out. So don't feel bad there, because generally nothing positive is coming up from the depths.
That's fair.
Yeah, which I think, again, those aspects of what Lovecraft was hooking on to, I think are still valid. Again, the idea of the loss of self-control, of loss of self, also possibly getting eaten, that your neighbors are not your friends, that people are secretly conspiring against you. Those things
You're
are
not the top of the food chain.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those things are valid, fodder for fear, so.
Yeah.
There's some good stuff in there. There's just some icky stuff too.
Very, very true.
Very icky stuff.
Yeah. Well,
but
no,
what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna
talk
move
about how
on.
this applies to being a warlock. Yeah.
What was that?
I was gonna talk about how this applies to being a warlock.
Go ahead, do it.
So we've talked about warlocks. Again, for those of you that might not recall, warlocks. I don't know. I say that warlocks are like clerics with a different. They've signed a different deal with the god. I posted a whole big thread on Twitter about how when you're a warlock, you're an investment that the other being has made that may or may not pay off. You're like a stock to them.
Yeah.
Wait, can we do like a Shark Tank episode, but it's a bunch of gods with warlocks coming in?
Yeah.
I do think it's important to just reiterate that you don't have to be a god to make a warlock pact.
That's fair. That's fair.
That you basically have to have access to the magic of another plane in some fashion or another. So you could be a unicorn and have a CR8, I think, and make a pact, a celestial pact.
Warlock unicorn pact. But see, then I'd be like a celestial pact warlock that was also a paladin and get a bonded steed and have my bonded steed be my unicorn. But then if my unicorn got killed, do I lose my warlock powers?
Yeah, your hookup's gone.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I think that also works really well for things. It's in the book. There's the Great Old One pact.
Yep.
But I think it works well because these are not entities who are, I feel like, primed for a cleric relationship. You probably can. It's probably in there, but they don't seem like they care about you at all. But if you can accidentally or on purpose guess Cthulhu's Wi-Fi password and bleed out power in his dreams, I love it. And there's a wonderful tension in there, right? Like how much can you take before he wakes up and notices?
I mean, I'm glad that you mentioned the Great Old One, because the Great Old One is basically Cthulhu.
Yeah, that's the one time Cthulhu pops up in a D&D book.
Yeah, and it's the first Warlock pact, like in the OGL, the Great Old One is the one that's there. So it is woven into the fabric of this. Yeah.
Any last thoughts on Warlock pacts and Cthulhu before checking in with the listeners and viewers?
That you absolutely should sign a Warlock pact with Cthulhu. I can think of no negative repercussions.
It can't possibly come back to bite you.
Again, I do think the strengths of 5e is that it lifted a lot of like alignment restrictions and things like that. And there's things that may not work mechanically, but you can do literally anything. Just the idea of like a Great Old One pack warlock, but like a devotion paladin multi-class, because mechanically this would work, and you'd be like, oh brother, hearken unto me. Let me tell you of the great one that is sleeping beneath the sea. And you're all like, help me help you, because he's going to eat everyone. Okay? I'd like you to get eaten first. Yeah.
All right, let's check it with with chat and see what they've been up to. I'm actually going to go through these a little bit from the end first, just because we were asking for those extra questions. Let's see. Oh, this is actually not a question, but a correction. This is Mr. Tom Wolf says the language was Norwegian, spoken by a non-native. So that was what it was in the thing. Yeah.
Mutual intelligibility of Scandinavian languages is fascinating, and I love it. Vaguely
Either
related.
Either way, if you understood the language, apparently they tell you everything, like literally in the first 30 seconds. Yep.
Onyx squared. I can read. I can't. Onyx squared says, now I want to know why you hate Cabin in the Woods. And you know what? Instead of answering that, I'm gonna do a plug. Listen to Writing About Dragons and shit, and maybe we'll talk about it at some point. Let's see here. Evil Emperor Zerg.
That stupid movie.
We'll talk about. I want to do an episode now.
I'm so curious.
I want to do it. Evil Emperor Zerg. Question: can we get a list of these books authors posted somewhere? Yeah, I could probably work on that at some point today if I can carve out some time. I'll actually, you know what? I will make a note of that.
Just write down the contents of your shopping cart.
Yeah, it's over $100 now.
Twitter thread.
Let's see. Sir Funky, doesn't water seal away Cthulhu's powers? Not from what I know of.
I don't think so. Nothing does.
Because lot of Relay is supposed to be under our oceans somewhere, and his dreaming thought being is what reaches out and infects people.
Yeah, it's because if water blocked his powers, we wouldn't have any problems. It's the fact that he's sleeping is the thing that's kind of saving everybody. Is my understanding.
I really
because they're all kind of aquatic, like Dagon and the Hydra are down out there too. Yeah.
I really like the idea that like every so often, like every couple hundred years, Cthulhu does wake up and just has like a quick morning routine before going back to bed. It's just like him walking around in a robe of wrong geometry.
Maybe he's just lost. Maybe he hadn't been asleep at all. He's just been stuck in his own madness-inducing anti-geometric city.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ryan Hayden says, imagine the letdown. You join a cult of Cthulhu, but the person behind it is just a lowly mind flayer with desires of aspiration. It's like, no, I'm totally Cthulhu. Look at my wings. Those are paper mache.
Just a mind flayer and a beholder running a long con.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Let's see here. This is a good one. Catch 23 says Cthulhu gets getting ripped to impress the black goat of the woods of 1,000 young.
Like it.
That's a sentence there. Let's see. Oh, okay, this is a fun one. Cassius335 says, question: if someone induced madness in Freely, Garlock, and one of the Brimstone Angels, what would they even look like? Both intentionally and to other watchers. I'm gonna be honest, I think Garlock would be one of the most terrifying, like, trying to recruit people into a cult like in a friendly way possible.
I think
a fascinating question.
Freely would probably believe that everybody was undead and therefore they had to go. Like his divine sense would misfire and it's like, they're undead, they all look like people. You know, and right.
That's terrifying.
Is this like if like they become convinced of the reality of Cthulhu? Or
yeah, let's go with that one.
Because I feel like Farida's response would just be like, I have to kill all of you before he wakes up. It's the only kind thing to do. But that doesn't feel like madness. I mean, it's not a typical response, but
I feel like that's a different question. Whether or not Freely was driven mad or Freely knew Cthulhu was real. Because if he knew he was real, he'd go and find him and try and fight him and lose badly.
Freely
just in a rowboat. Like, no, I got this. You guys don't worry about it. Yeah, just gonna find. Gonna be okay.
I feel like Havilar would go with him.
Yeah, right. Me and Havilar, we got this.
She's got the map.
I know. Even though we both need to breathe.
Meanwhile, Garlock's hog-tied in the boat, just going, no, I swear, like, just look at the pamphlets I have. Cthulhu's really cool. It's gonna be great. Okay, let's jump back up to the top real quick and see what we got going. First off, Star Chaser 43 says, congratulations, Erin.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I'm so happy. This is in reference to Cthulhu just, eating the followers. Right here it says, size-wise, B-Dave would be more like Chewy. But like the but the lack of hair negates that. No, I don't get that one. I don't know that.
Like Chewbacca?
Maybe.
A shaved Chewbacca?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what they mean. That I'm Chewbacca size, but I don't have the hair.
There we go. Cassius335 says Cthulhu, patron of head cheerleaders. I like that. I like that.
Kinda. Mean girls everywhere.
This is Rex Verdi. I'm gonna say that. Jim Zub has been doing great work on Conan, bringing it out from where it came from into a more modern sensibility. Yes, 100%. We actually talked to Jim Zub on Writing About Dragons shit about that.
Jim's good people.
Mhm.
Shout out to our friend Jim Zub,
Great dude.
friend of our clan.
Friend of our clan.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Catch-23 says people worship Cthulhu not because they relish in Cthulhu's coming, but because it is inevitable and embrace it as a better than the alternative. Which is true. Yeah, that is that is one thing is like I do like is that there are different interpretations of like why a cult is doing something. Like most of them do that where it's just like the end is nigh, like we're just accepting it, come on. And then there's other people who are just like, we're gonna freaking bring this party down.
Well, I mean, this comes up every time we talk about evil gods, and I'm like, I don't understand why anybody worships an evil god. And it's like, especially when like other ones are around. But somebody like Umberly, I guess, if you're a sailor and you're like, we just are trying to keep her cool,
Yeah.
Like
that apotropaic thing. Maybe you worship Cthulhu and it's like singing him a lullaby so he stays asleep.
True. Like they've just this
You pour the warm milk into the sea.
this crack team of people that are just like slipping in melatonin and NyQuil every night. That like little do we know, a team of like 25 cultists have kept reality on the wheels for like 400 years.
You know, out the human sacrifice who's just covered in Benadryl and they throw him over.
They're all happy. They're just like, by my life, the world is restored.
And I like the idea that just after they throw him in, one of them goes, you know what the really funny thing is? His name was Ben. So I really do like this one. Ryan Hayden says, prayers to Cthulhu, and you get a small voicemail. Cthulhu isn't available right now. To leave a message after his nap, please speak after the shriek of madness. And this is from Garth Mindfeather. In one of the essays on weird fiction, the scholar S.T. Joshi suggested that the thing which erupts from Relay, I even said Rael there, at the end of Lovecraft's Call of Cthulhu was not actually the towering totality of Cthulhu itself, but instead just an appendage. But I do like that it is still described that it like rose up out of the sea like this. So really, Cthulhu's got a small hand puppet of himself, which he just brings up. He's like, go away. I'm sleeping.
Now, I'm just thinking that, like Mother Dagon, Father Hydra, Cthulhu, all the other gods, like all the cultists are just trying to appease them into like mean girlishness. Like, well, I'm not going to destroy the world till you do. Like, I'm not going to do it first. And it's like, whatever, I'm tired anyway. Like, oh my God. Just like super vapid.
Which great old one wrote the burn book?
Just know on Wednesdays
My
they
heart
wear pink.
Nyarlathotep, but okay.
Yep. Nyarlathotep
You know what?
would be the Nyarlathotep is the answer.
Nyarlathotep is the Regina George of the mythos.
1000%. 1000%.
There was one thing that I did want to tie in here. There is a bit of kind of Cthulhu-y mythosy stuff in the Netherese too. Like just they're like floating cities and like strange magics and stuff like that. And like I think even the way they were described was kind of like alien-ish and stuff for like the older wizards. I don't know.
I mean, arguably, anytime people push too far into the outer realms and found something they shouldn't have found is all kind of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like open one too many portals.
Yeah.
Boom, tentacles.
Boom, tentacles. Yeah. Let's see. Any last good ones that I want to read on here? A couple discussions about Cthulhu's pronouns.
Hellboy, also vaguely
Lovecraftian.
Lovecraftian. Yeah.
I even just watched that this weekend. Yeah, 100%.
anything involving sky tentacles for the most part. Anytime tentacles are coming out of the sky, you're there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they said for Mass Effect that the Reapers with they got like kind of robot tentacle things was inspired from Cthulhu mythos. But I think that is gonna do it for checking in with chat and for this episode.
Hey.
Where can people find you, awesome people, if they would like to do so, and what things are you working on?
You can find me on Twitter at Erin M. Evans. You can catch me this evening at 6:30 on twitch.tv/Dungeon Scrawlers, where I play D&D set in the Forgotten Realms with a bunch of other fantasy writers. I'm finishing a weird high school shared hallucination thing.
High
It's very
school
silly.
shared. I like it. That you sold me.
I would just like to say, yay, Cthulhu talking. You know,
There you go.
That's I don't have anything else to cover. Yep. Oh, follow me. I
was like,
the
really?
Grams at B. Dave Walters. Yeah. I mean, if you see the picture of that worm I posted, you'll realize I've been on Lovecraftian work all this week.
That's my secret.
Yeah.
I'm always Lovecraftian.
It's a real living creature. That's all I have to say.
Oh, right. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, so you can find me on the Difficulty Class podcast every Friday, as well as Champions Psychology every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on twitch.tv/CNE Games. And also with these two lovely people on writing about dragons and shit, which goes up on Wednesdays, except for today because I forgot to edit it and it will go up later. I apologize. I just now realized that because I panic checked and realized I didn't do that. So that will go up later.
It will be all the sweeter.
Mhm.
Exactly. Oh yeah, you really were. I just now saw these
The worm?
messages. Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. That's not. Yeah.
What a nightmare.
Wow,
Yep.
Look at this.
I just put it in our Twitter group, so I didn't put it here so we wouldn't lose it. Hang on. I know we're winding up, but I want to see Erin's face when she sees it. Hang on.
Hang on a second. It's
Oh
not moving.
no.
This is worth it. This is worth
It's
it, you guys.
It's not great.
It's just. No, it's real though.
I know, but I hate it.
Yep.
Like just
Yeah.
There we go.
Cthulhu for talking. That's all I have to say.
audio listeners are really gonna miss out on it. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
that is, you know what? Now I know that's why people worship evil gods, because I'm like, the god that everyone else worshipped hath wrought that. So sign me up for Umberly. Yep.
Yep, I just converted.
If you missed any part of this show, you can listen to it later at 2 p.m. as a podcast on your favorite podcast services. And if you have any suggestions for future topics you'd like to talk about that have to do with Idle Champions, send them into championsoflore at codenameentertainment.com. Let's see, today, if you're here with us live, come back at 1 for Mars's Guiding Hand, and then at 3 for the Sketching Hour, where they're going to be drawing something really cool. Last week they did disheveled gelatinous squirrels, and I loved every minute of it. So be sure to check that out. But that is going to do it for this week's episode. So until next week, Champions out.